This is Markin Out. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. Follow on Twitter. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. Marking Out. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. Brennan likes fisting. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. We're marking out. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans.
And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 700 of Markin Out, Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. I'll say it again. This is episode 700. There are very few podcasts that are at 700 episodes. We're one of them. Are we the biggest one? No. Are we the most consistent? Yes. So everybody that is listening this week, we thank you for listening to this online listening experience in podcast form. You can find this podcast or online listening experience several different ways. You can go to all of your major podcasting applications, Google Play, Spotify. It's on YouTube. It's on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/markingout11, because they finally got to the podcast game. It would be great if we had like a video podcast, but Brandon doesn't want to wear a mask for 2 hours at a time, which is totally fine. I get it. Facebook.com/markingout, Twitter.com/markingout, YouTube, Instagram, markingout11, TikTok and markingout. You can email us at markingout1@gmail.com. We have merchandise. We're in the middle of this, a 4th of July sale. So get your merchandise, prowrestlingtees.com/markingout. You haven't heard my voice in a very, very long time, and I apologize to that. But when you are too sucked into your job and can't even get a week off, unfortunately, the podcast has to come. And I know there was a review a long time ago saying, "Oh, Chris had kids, and you can't—that's ridiculous. You can't do a podcast." Screw you, whoever you are. And if you're still listening, don't listen anymore.
Well, let's not say that.
I'm sorry. I'm in the mood. I am in a mood right now, but my name's Chris. You can follow me on Twitter at Chris Sweendog. I don't do much tweeting. I think tomorrow is supposed to be 4th of July. I'm going to try to win that major PBR thing again by posting a cigar to PBR because it rhymes. So, boom. That's it. I'm also here with Dave. You can follow him on social media platforms at DavidPTDPT. David, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Cannot believe that we actually have 700 episodes. Crazy.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
We'll go into it in a minute, but I'm in rare form right now. But in talking, I said this to Dave. I'm like, Dave, I'm really not mentally in to do this, and he's like, we need you, and I'm doing this for one person and one person only. The reason why we are at 700 episodes, I hate giving him the rub like this, but I am the Count of Monte Fisto, cousin Brandon. He has a now defunct YouTube show because he took me out of a bumper that I made one time. He probably didn't, but he's just not the technical audio wizard like I am. Brandon, you can follow him on all social media accounts at BTGG161. Brandon, you better have a great, people want to know who am I, where am I, who am I.
I love your damn laugh.
I'm doing awesome as always.
All right, good. You should have had one. It's episode 700, you know?
Stuff stopped rhyming in 2013. I can't. There's nothing else to rhyme. Unless they make new words. I know yeet is a new word, but...
Well, my kids are those Gen Z ones that talk about their Riz and Sigma and, Ohio and stuff like that. I don't know what they're talking about half the time.
Skibbity toilet?
Skibbity toilet. Yeah, that too. Ugh. My 8-year-old nephew, he's like, Skibbity toilet. I'm like, Tino, what are you talking about? He's like, and runs away. I'm like, all right, great. So I have no clue. There's this guy on Instagram. He's like Mr. McTikTok, which I think he has very good content. So yeah. So what's up, everybody? How was your weeks?
It was great. Brandon?
I went to the Outlaw Music Festival.
Where is this?
At Jones Beach. It was on Saturday night, so the weather during the day was fine. The weather for most of the concert was fine, and then it started getting super cloudy, and then or foggy or whatever. And then it rained after the concert, so I'm glad that it didn't rain during the concert. But it was supposed to be headlined by Willie Nelson, He had been sick, so he missed the first bunch of dates, and they cleared him to go back on the road, but they cleared him to go back on the road the next week and not last week when I saw him. So that's unfortunate, but his son filled in for him. He sounds just like Willie Nelson. Robert Plant and Alison Krauss performed. Bob Dylan performed, and Bob Dylan just so happened to be on the same date in 2007, 17 years apart. I was at that concert, the worst concert that I've ever been to. But Bob Dylan sounded so much better at Jones Beach this year than he did back then. So I was happy for that. I just wish that he played more popular songs in the same style that they were recorded in.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just Bob Dylan for you. And Jones Beach also renovated the venue this past year.
Yes, I saw. And there was like a big like a ribbon cutting and stuff like that.
If you ask me, I feel like the only major thing that you would notice is the main entrance gate outside the venue that's different. It's like a Gatsby-esque vibe to it.
Okay, yeah, that's what I saw in like the press release or whatever it was.
There's a bunch of like VIP areas that they redid. The bands now have a VIP area on the beach. If you by chance want to swim in Zach's Bay or kayak over there as a musician before you go up on the stage and perform, they have that for you, I believe. But outside of that, and they completely redid all the seats except for the mezzanine. So the mezzanine are still those red old seats, but every other seat in the venue are brand new.
Aren't they doing more renovations to it?
I'm not 100% sure. It seems like all the major renovations are completed.
Okay.
They added in an elevator for the second level up because they added another ADA section.
Okay, I feel like I saw that elevator last year when I saw Mudvayne there.
No, there was only one elevator up until this past season.
Oh, okay. Right.
And those
That's
elevators,
wild.
brother, I hate the elevators at Jones Beach. You had a whole season. I don't know how many millions of dollars you sunk into that venue. You couldn't redo your other elevators.
Wait, did you just say millions of dollars?
I think it was
Millions of dollars.
Millions of dollars.
Millions of dollars.
But that's my week. How about yourself?
All I do is work.
Work. No,
but it's not like fun work. Like we went from spring season right to graduation season, and within like the 2-week span, I must have live streamed like 9 graduations. And it wasn't like it was like right by my house. It's like it was all over the place. Like I had to go out to Mastic. I live in, central Nassau County, so I had to go to Mastic. Then I had to go to Bethpage. Then I had to go here. Then I had to go there. And then I had like a day off on a Sunday, but I still had to film with my fitness client. And then we're doing this like semi-pro softball on Long Island, and we're the broadcast team for it. So I just did those 3 games, and my whole family is right now in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, celebrating the 4th of July. And here I am like a jerk home by myself because I asked for the week off and I can't get it because I need to do these things. So I'm going to have a very lonely 4th of July. And if you're listening to this when it comes out, when is this coming out, Brandon? Friday?
Yeah, probably Friday night.
Yep, I had a very lonely 4th of July. I did get a smoker, though. So I'm going to be smoking some ribs.
That sounds perfect, though.
I know. You know what? That's like, and this is one thing that I've been trying to work on is like, look at the positives in a lot of things. Like, yes, my wife, my kids, my mom, my stepfather, they're all in Rehoboth Beach having a great time. Right by Dogfish, my favorite brewery. But like, I'm in my, late 30s, almost 40. I'm just going to smoke a bunch of meat era, I guess.
Yeah, sounds like it's going to actually be enjoyable. I mean, I know that you are a family man, of course, but it's out of your hands right now. But now you're going to have time to just decompress in a way and have a smoker and enjoy your smoker.
I'm going to be smoking cocktails. I'm going to be smoking cigars. I'm going to be smoking meats. It's just a lot of carcinogens tomorrow. That's it. So
there you go. I may have to swing on over at the end of the night.
Oh, I might be sleeping because I might have.
Awesome. So I guess before we go forward, let's reflect. 700 episodes. I mean, we've come a long ways from recording in Chris's house with Brandon not speaking at all.
Yeah, and sitting on my couch and just having to put a microphone in his face.
It really only happened one time.
Yeah.
Was it only one time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the timeline of me being on Markin Out was like, it's really askewed because I was on that one. It was at the end of, I think, February, where you asked me how my thoughts on Dolph Ziggler, and I was like, oh, he's great. And then it feels like maybe like 2 weeks after that or so, I started doing call-ins for shout-outs. I feel like when I'm reflecting on this, I feel like I'm Howard's, like not Howard Stern, but one of the Whack Packers.
You are
like a Whack Packer who became someone who was part of the show. Like, oh, I used to call in Howard, and now I'm here every week.
Yeah, I remember one of my favorite parts was where you came over and you scared the crap out of Chris.
What?
Yeah. Oh no, when you
that didn't
came over
happen.
one morning, dressed like Brandon, and like I was half awake, and I look at my door and there's you, and I freaked out and I fell back, and you just walked my house. I was like, oh my god.
You remember that being me, Dave?
Dude, my memory is so shot.
No,
Maybe
that was you dressed up like Brandon.
I don't think he was dressed up as me. He was wearing a mask.
No,
or he was wearing a wig.
He was wearing a wig. He was wearing a red wig, and the classic Brandon Adidas shirt.
Did you drop your food or something like that?
I dropped something. I think I fell. I forgot.
He gave a good old Ric Flair flop to the ground. Awesome.
Yeah. So I mean, we could go on and on about. I mean, the landscape of wrestling in 700 episodes has changed and then changed again.
Yeah.
Whereas, when we first started this podcast, it was Ring of Honor was kind of, doing their underground thing, and it was WWE. And now, like, wrestling is the healthiest it's ever been, where if you don't want to watch WWE, there's something else for you. If you don't want to watch something else, WWE is firing on all cylinders right now. It's crazy to think that, if we go back 700 episodes, there is not Vince McMahon running the WWE, which I think is the wildest thing. And that there are, and also 700 episodes ago, the indies were, as we like to call them now, the shindies. Now the independent wrestling scene is the most thrivingest. People are making like beautiful livings on the independent wrestling scene. They don't have to go to WWE. They don't have to go to AEW. There's places like GCW, who, is a worldwide touring company that a lot of independent wrestlers work off of. There's places like AIW, where there's other Prestige Wrestling is another one.
Beyond Wrestling.
Beyond Wrestling. By the way, Donovan Dijak versus Aaron Rourke on American Rana. Whew! Pumped for that.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be great.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. Too bad it's not against Leo Rush, and too bad I didn't film a promo for that, but I digress. But you know what? Like, in 700 episodes, professional wrestling, sports entertainment, it's really professional wrestling again, is the healthiest it's been.
I will say, what I miss from 700 episodes ago is the difference in IWC.
Yeah, because it's a lot worse.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't think IWC was really that prevalent.
I don't think so either.
But now there's all of these losers on the internet that think that their voice matters because they have a Twitter, they have a social media.
Because they have a podcast for 700 episodes.
Yeah, that too. But yeah, I mean, I think that's the one negative that you can think of. I mean, there's a bunch of other negatives, but the one thing, I think the emergence of the IWC, thinking that, it's okay to belittle these performers that, give us so many hours of entertainment.
Yeah.
I feel like we were doing stuff like that. We're just giving opinions on that, not necessarily belittling them, but...
No, but the belittling is a lot worse.
I think.
Yeah, I think it was as bad. Like, I don't think we were doing it as bad as a lot of the people are doing it currently.
But also, not even in regards to talent, but each other.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, insufferable.
It's insufferable. Yeah, I know. It's funny. It's funny you mention that too, because like like every other person, I have a Facebook account, and I scroll through my Facebook account, and like I get these like groups that are like AEW or wrestling, and I mute them because it's just like these skewed. Some guy was going off about how Triple H's booking is terrible and Vince McMahon needs to come back. I don't know if it was like sarcasm. I know, and I was just like. I'm like immediately mute. And like the name Dave Meltzer, I want to find a way on all of my social media platforms. Just like if that word pops up, it's immediately muted because I can't stand him.
There are so many accounts that I just like X off of and say not interested in. And then I go on Twitter again and they pop back up. It's like, that's another thing. 700 episodes, Twitter was Twitter. It's a completely different machine now. It doesn't work the same. It doesn't work properly anymore.
Yes, it's just and it's owned by a guy who doesn't know what he's doing in life. Smartest man alive, my nuts. Also, we got to thank the Indie God, the Deathmatch King, the Michael Jordan of professional wrestling, Matt Cardona, for giving us the rub on Twitter and helping. It wouldn't be an episode of this podcast without giving the rub to Matt Cardona, even though he doesn't need it. But we got to thank him for just being a bro and just helping out. Twitter, and he says it all the time. Twitter is free. It is your best source of promotion whatsoever. And well, he just sent out a simple tweet saying, "My friends have a podcast. Go check out Markin Out," and it really helped us grow and expand on social media.
No,
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say even him being open to appearing on our podcast and just including us with his
True Long
Island story and everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just very, very grateful for his kindness.
Even when he probably wasn't supposed to include us, or it probably wasn't supposed to be on our show.
No,
given that email that we had once before.
Oh yeah. We don't put our superstars on wrestling podcasts.
That's another crazy thing. 700 episodes ago, we were getting responses like that. These days, we don't go out and like seek interviews like that, but everybody has podcasts, and everybody, regardless of what you're talking about, they have guests on. So.
Yeah. So. It's been a wild ride.
Yeah,
just like Mr. Toad's wild ride. And do we think in these 700 episodes we'd have ever done a full-on Disney review episode? No, but we did it.
Beautiful episode.
It was awesome.
Yeah, it happened.
We had a failed spin-off podcast under this thing as well. But it's it is what it is. It's been fun.
We also had a live video show that didn't pan out so great, but
with the ringside reactions, right?
Yeah. We just couldn't get the time.
It especially to get hard to get three of us together. It's right now it's 11 o'clock on a Wednesday night.
That's true.
It's hard enough to get all of us together. But 700 episodes. Here's the 1400 episodes.
Let's do it.
If the giant meteor doesn't hit us by then, or one of our next presidents doesn't nuke our country to the ground,
right?
We'll keep on trucking.
Yeah, very, very grateful for the both of you as well. So thank you for your dedication and devotion to the podcast, to recording 700 episodes, and it takes a lot of work and dedication that a lot of people behind the scenes listening may not understand fully at times.
It's been 700 episodes and we still have the same logo, so we got to thank Nick Batocho for making that. I don't even know if he still listens anymore. We got to thank the now defunct, what was it, Ring Rope Rebellion? Yeah, for our theme music. Is that still it, or did you make some AI country song, Brandon?
No, it's still it. However, there's a song that I made via the AI gimmick, and it's like really catchy. And it's like a song that I will listen to over and over again. Not saying it'll be a theme song for Markin Out, but
because then I'll quit.
Why you don't like the
You're
gimmicks?
Taking away from.
I mean, feel free to re-record the song.
Beings.
Feel free to re-record it. It's a banger. I'm telling you. It's
After
beautiful.
banger. After
Yeah.
Oh,
banger.
I was about to say that.
I beat you. All right, so that's it. So
Nice.
I guess you guys talked about Forbidden Door. Nope.
Not yet.
Not yet, but how about we take it into some Monday Night Raw?
Which kicked off with Jey Uso. He had an incredible entrance to open up Monday Night Raw. He went through the crowd and he put himself over to win the Money in the Bank. And then Chad Gable showed up and he spoke about how much he's had to overcome and said that he'll win Money in the Bank. Jey Uso brought up the Wyatt Six. And Chad Gable brought up how Jey Uso stole the Fireflies. And Jey Uso abandoned his family. And which is kind of ironic because in the same sense, Chad Gable's abandoning kind of his family.
Yeah, but he's also looping in Jey Uso into the Wyatts as well, into the storyline, because he's technically not wrong either.
Well, Jey Uso, he was like, I told them they could have it. I don't need them. I don't want them, I should say.
Yeah, he doesn't want that smoke.
But it came to blows with Chad Gable escaping, and then the power goes out, and the Wyatt Six appeared in different spotlights as Chad Gable walked away from the ring, and he ran through the crowd, and then Nikki delivered another box to Michael Cole, which housed a videotape, another one, and that videotape they aired later on. It was more of a Bo Dallas and Uncle Howdy face-to-face, where Bo questioned how much longer they're going to keep doing this stuff, and asked what they're even doing there. And Bo said that they made people notice, and they've become a family. And people must pay for their sins. And Bo Dallas is the voice of the reckoning. Meanwhile, Uncle Howdy says he is the reckoning. And then they both said the same things where they like flipped the camera back and forth. And Bo Dallas just says, set them free. He has to set them free. Or he did set them free, I should say.
Yeah, and this was just fascinating to so many different moments. It was interesting how it was going back and forth with how they were kind of like transforming into one person.
Yeah.
Where at one point I didn't expect Uncle Howdy to reappear. I thought that he was going to be like embodied within Bo Dallas, and now Bo Dallas was going to like the Uncle Howdy character was going to be fairly gone and just embodied within Bo Dallas, and then maybe Uncle Howdy appear very more rarely, that he would just be inside of him. Mm-hmm. It was interesting at one point that the door behind also lit up as if it was that entrance too.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, at one point, I think it was during that point where they were switching back and forth, that the door behind them started to have that light shine through. That's the thing. That's the cool thing with these videotapes, is that you can talk to every single person and somebody noticed something different that took place within them.
Yeah, and then later on, Chad Gable approached Otis after that videotape aired, and he's like, I swear they're talking about me in regards to what they're saying with abandoning family and stuff. And he said that he's going to need help, and Otis was like, listen, I don't hate you, but like I said, we're not helping you.
Mm-hmm.
And Gable said if they do come after Alpha Academy, he's going to be there for them. So, I don't think they will.
I think that I think they're leaving a lot open.
Yeah, definitely. But I think this is one of those things that Chad Gable brought it upon himself for this.
Yeah, I think that's a great way, and I think that it's going to be interesting to see how they involve the Wyatts into wrestling now too.
Yeah,
I really hope that they wrestle without the mask, because
I don't know.
I feel like I really want them to wrestle without the mask because they're really humanizing them a lot, especially with everything that they're doing. I like it a lot. I think that they're humanizing them, making you feel sympathy that these are people that just we all knew that Dexter Lumis and Eric Rowan and all these people, that they have been forgotten, and they're making you sympathize with them that, hey, they deserve better than that. So it's going to be interesting what happens.
Loomis posted an incredible piece of artwork that he did.
His drawings are fantastic.
Yeah. But going back in time, we saw Xavier Woods pick up the victory over Karrion Kross. For me, I thought the match was underwhelming. And
yeah,
Xavier Woods, really, it was just he got a quick win here. And then New Day stupidly stayed in the ring to celebrate, even though he just got a quick win and you're going up against someone who's been trying to kill you. And they get taken out by the Authors of Pain. They get taken out by Karrion Kross. What did they think was going to happen?
Yeah, not solid moves.
We saw Damian Priest and Dominic Mysterio backstage, and he asked Dominic if he spoke to Rhea Ripley, and Dom was like, yeah, I did. She's fine or whatever. And Priest was like, oh, is that true? Because I just spoke to her, and she's pissed off about all this stuff with Liv Morgan. And then meanwhile, you could hear her partying coming from the clubhouse. They walk in, Liv Morgan's there partying with Finn Balor, Carlito, JD McDonough, which Damian Priest was annoyed at Finn Balor for letting that happen. And yeah. Balor's like, look, she helped us get the tag team titles. Unlike you, who put your spot in the group in jeopardy. And then Finn Balor said, ever since you won that World Heavyweight Championship, you've changed. Which, you never want to hear those words from a friend.
No, I could definitely see Damian Priest branching off again and maybe forming an alliance with Rhea Ripley, because it seems like everybody else is starting to become friendly with Liv Morgan and accept her.
Listen, if they're going to be on Monday Night Raw weekly playing WWE 2K24, I'm going to need them to play, I tweeted this out, I'm going to need them to play the live events in my faction, because some of them are the most ridiculously hard things that you have to try to accomplish, and I want to see other people struggle with that, because I think it's just a ridiculous thing that they have to do. Mm-hmm. A video game should be fun in my opinion, but whatever, what do I know?
Yeah.
After that, we saw Liv Morgan pick up the victory over Zelina Vega to retain the championship. Dominic Mysterio eventually showed up, and then Rey Mysterio showed up. I feel like they both wanted the same thing in this, even though Rey Mysterio wants Dominic to not be involved. They both wanted Zelina Vega to have that championship. And we did get Liv Morgan, I guess, teasing Rhea Ripley here. She used the Prism Lock. I don't think it just can't be the same as Rhea Ripley, because the height difference is completely different. Mm-hmm. But it's still,
it definitely shifts.
It's still good to have something like that where she's using Rhea's moves now. And I thought this match was fine. I liked the sunset flip powerbomb from the top rope that Zelina Vega did. Liv Morgan rolled out of the ring after that. And then we get Rey Mysterio pushing Dominic. Rewind a few years, Rey didn't want to put his hands on Dominic at all. Now he's just openly doing it. And then Liv Morgan hit Rey Mysterio. Zelina Vega hit a 619 and a DDT. And Liv Morgan kicked out of that. And then Dominic, like he did at the pay-per-view or the PLE, like a dummy, slides a chair into Zelina Vega. And she ends up hitting him with it, and that distracts her. Liv Morgan's able to hit the Oblivion. She's able to pick up the victory. She dedicated the victory and future victories to Dominic.
I was surprised by this.
About what?
I actually thought she was going to dedicate her matches to Rhea Ripley.
Dom is her hero.
Yeah, I totally get it. Like, when she said Dom, I was like, okay. But for some reason, I was expecting her to say, I'm dedicating this victory to Rhea Ripley, because I'm on my Liv Morgan tour and destroying everything that you have stood for and created. And it's weird that in every promo, she keeps on reminding us that her goal is to take away everything that Rhea Ripley really has done. Yet the Judgment Day it's like they've never listened to a promo of hers. She's legit saying, I'm going to sabotage everything that you have created and your family and everything. And everybody in Judgment Day is like, nope, sorry, we were busy playing video games in the back. We weren't listening to your promo about you wanting to destroy everything.
But also she helped them get the title, so.
True. Yeah.
After that, we saw Seth Rollins come out and say that, I feel like we've heard him say this before, he needs the championship. And then Finn Balor interrupted him, and he blamed Seth Rollins for Damian Priest changing. And Seth Rollins said that he thinks Balor is jealous that he's the World Heavyweight Champion and he's not. And before a brawl could happen, Damian Priest came out, made Finn Balor leave, and then Seth Rollins challenged Damian Priest to fight right then and there, and Balor ends up being the one to fight Seth Rollins. And Damian Priest gets pissed off. So they're arguing. Seth Rollins hits both of them with a super kick at the same time. I thought that was one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
That was a really nice nice part of the match.
It was not, that was a match, but...
Yeah, but nice part that took place, yeah.
It's like when Kevin Owens bet A-Town Down Under about whether or not he could hit two people with the same punch, and they were like, you can't, and then he did.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe that was Pretty Deadly and A-Town Down Under, I'm not sure. But I thought that was pretty cool. And Damian Priest was the one that came out on top.
Yeah, Damian Priest coming out on top of that one.
Losing the title on Saturday. I don't know.
You really think?
That's the wrestling formula.
I don't know. I'm going to have to mull it over and then think about it.
We saw Zoe Stark pick up the victory over Dakota Kai and Ivy Nile to qualify for the Money in the Bank.
I think that this was kind of expected.
I don't know. I guess Garrett, with the storyline that's been going on with Damage Control and EO, perhaps. But I thought for sure we were going to see Dakota Kai win this.
Mm-hmm.
To further that, where she's not helping EO in the match, and EO gets pissed off. So we could still see something like that happen between Damage Control.
Oh yeah.
This has a lot of double moves, I guess. I don't want to say double team moves, but Ivy Nile hitting that German suplex, and it just both of them get hit with the German suplex. But Kairi Sane ran down to distract Ivy Nile. Alba Fire and Isla Dawn ran down to take Kairi Sane out. And then Zoe Stark was able to hit that Z360 and picked up the victory. I don't mind that she's in this match. I was just hoping for Dakota Kai.
I don't know. I kind of expected Zoe Stark to be in this match and win.
Dakota Kai, Zoe, by the way, was talking to Sonya Deville backstage in the background, and she got pulled away from her by Shayna Baszler.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't mention any of that. So, and then Kathy Kelly interviewed Dakota Kai later on about losing, and she said the plan is still the same. And she's so sick of people getting involved in Damage Control's business. Lyra Valkyria shows up, basically saying she'll win the Money in the Bank. She was my pick to win the Money in the Bank, and now I'm up in the air about whether or not I think she's gonna win. Because we saw Katana Chance and Kaden Carter come out, or not come out. They they ran into the scene. It leads to a pull apart brawl that gets set up for a 6-woman tag match next week. Would they put? Well, I guess maybe because EO would be involved. Maybe they can have I won the Money in the Bank and you didn't, sort of thing. With Lyra?
I don't know. I can't see. I don't know.
My pick is still probably going to be Lyra Valkyria, so we'll see. After that, we saw Dominic Mysterio pick up the victory over Rey Mysterio. Right? Dominic won, or did Rey win?
Now that you're questioning it, don't remember.
I don't remember either.
Because I don't remember the finish of it. We
I
got
don't
Liv
remember.
Morgan involvement.
Yeah, Liv Morgan was definitely out there. Zelina Vega was definitely out there. Rey Mysterio won.
Okay.
Rey beat Dominic.
Okay.
But yeah, so Liv Morgan got involved. She ended up saving Dominic from the first 619. And Dominic Mysterio told her to leave, and then Rey Mysterio drop kicked Dominic into landing on top of Liv Morgan. And then Zelina Vega eventually came out and brawled with Liv Morgan. Dominic was able to hit the 619 off that distraction, but when he went for the frog splash, that's when Liv Morgan accidentally, I guess, crotched him. She pulled the rope because Zelina Vega grabbed her off the apron. And that's when Rey Mysterio was able to hit that 619. We were eventually able to get there, so.
Yeah, we were going to make our way.
We were able to get to Rey Mysterio getting that 619 and picking up the victory over Dominic Mysterio.
I like how Dominic and Rey still always find that they are at other ends against each other. And I really like the involvement of Liv Morgan. I liked how Liv Morgan, Dominic was on top of Liv Morgan at one point.
And she was not letting him go.
No, and then Rey Mysterio came on over and was just like ripped him off of her. Yeah, she grabbed right a hold of him. But
after that, we had Sami Zayn come out and speak about his match at Money in the Bank, which, by the way, Johnny Knoxville posted a post about him going to Toronto, and everyone's like, oh my God, Johnny Knoxville is going to cost Sami Zayn his match at Money in the Bank. Meanwhile, Sami Zayn is booked in a comedy show that's already taken place by the time you hear this.
Man, Toronto.
Obviously, Johnny Knoxville, he did it at the last comedy show, is going to be involved in this. It's not he's going to be involved at Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
Use common sense. But Braun Breaker showed up and said Sami Zayn has no idea what he has coming at Money in the Bank. And Sami said that Braun Breaker might not be as good as he thinks he is. And then Braun ends up spearing Sami Zayn. And to what Sami Zayn was saying, he tried for another spear outside of the ring. But Sami Zayn jumped over and Braun Breaker ran right into the steel steps.
I really like this spot. He moved pretty quickly to jump out of the way.
Yeah. And they continued to brawl this segment up until like the very ending. Up until the spears, I thought was just like But
okay.
Go from the spear and to the finish, I thought that was a great way to end that segment.
Yeah, I could definitely agree with you. And now on to the main event of the evening. It was Drew McIntyre picking up the victory over Ilya Dragunov and Sheamus to qualify in the Money in the Bank briefcase matchup. Expected Drew McIntyre to win, no?
For me, I literally couldn't guess who was going to win this one.
Really?
Why literally couldn't. I don't know. I didn't think Ilya Dragunov was going to, only because we saw him. He was supposed to be in that match last week and then got pulled from it after not supposed to be in the after he wasn't supposed to be in the match. And then he was added to this match, so I didn't think it was going to be him. But between Sheamus and Drew McIntyre, I don't know.
Yeah.
And of course, there's that curveball that they could have always been like, "Oh, here's Ilya Dragunov in the ladder match." But this match, it started with Drew McIntyre and Sheamus face to face. Ilya Dragunov kept trying to get involved. Drew shoved him off. So Ilya ends up taking Drew McIntyre out right at the beginning. And then from there, it just turned into this all-out brawl. This was a fantastic main event of Monday Night Raw before Money in the Bank.
Mm-hmm.
I like that H-bomb off the apron that he did to Sheamus. He hit another H-bomb on Drew McIntyre later in the match, and McIntyre kicked out. Even later on, McIntyre went for a Claymore. Could have easily hit the Claymore. Ilya Dragunov hits him with a Torpedo Moscow instead.
There was just so much happening.
Yeah, Drew rolls out of the ring. We saw Ilya go to the top, and he went to do that West Coast, the coast-to-coast gimmick. Sheamus rocks him with a bro kick midair. Pretty sure it was below the belt. Probably by mistake. Definitely by mistake, I would say. And then Sheamus hit another bro kick, and Drew McIntyre pulled Ilya Dragunov out of the ring. And Sheamus eventually ran into a Claymore, and Drew McIntyre won that match. And he goes on, and I don't know if Jey Uso is winning the briefcase. Everybody seems to think it's going to be Drew.
I think the only way it's not going to be Drew, same thing with the Monday Night Raw match.
It makes sense. Yeah, it has to be Punk.
Exactly. The only way that it doesn't end up being him winning,
well,
it is Punk.
Now, hold on a second. Punk is, as we know from SmackDown, not dead, but dead. He's laid out. The main thing that everybody's talking about with Drew McIntyre is that bracelet. And we know Larry isn't going to be climbing any ladders or knocking out over any ladders.
Mm-hmm.
There's a very, very big possibility, storyline-wise, it fits perfectly, that we could see the return of AJ Lee where she knocks over the ladder to cost Drew McIntyre the Money in the Bank briefcase.
No way.
She's part of the bracelet. That's a main thing. Drew McIntyre gave that bracelet to Michael Cole to hold on to him, for him while he's wrestling that match.
Huh.
We've seen her get involved in matches like that before.
Mm-hmm.
You never know. Come Saturday, we'll know. But
yeah, interesting.
Though that's Monday Night Raw. Moving over to NXT, we had Jada Parker picking up the victory over Mia Yim in a street fight, which started right off the bat. Mia Yim channeled her inner Shotzi Blackheart and did that suicide dive right into the steel step.
That
steel
was
chairs.
nasty.
Yeah, which people are like, oh, this is so unsafe. And like, it looks normal to me. I don't think that looks unsafe. It looks like they know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
But Jada Parker did a running hip attack, went through the barricade. I like when Mia Yim introduced the nuts and bolts to the match because it's like another fun. Obviously, they're not doing thumbtacks.
Mm-hmm.
I think the crowd thought they were thumbtacks. But I think it's just another like fun thing that they can use. Obviously, there's a spot you could do with Legos that I feel like at this point is overplayed.
Yeah, everybody does that spot.
So
now.
to find like new things to use there. But we saw Mia Yim do that cannonball to the garbage can when it was over Jada Parker's body when she was in the corner. Both of them ended up going through that platform next to the commentary table. And then Jada Parker did another hip attack to Mia Yim to pick up that victory. I thought this was a very well done street fight between the two of them.
I agree. I think that they really brought it.
And then we saw the OC challenge OTM to a match later on. So
yeah,
I think that'll take place next week.
I believe so. Next up, you had New Catch Republic pick up the victory over Hank and Tank. New Catch Republic, they're going to go right to the top.
This was a faster paced match than I expected.
True.
And Hank and Tank actually controlled some of it. I wasn't expecting that. But I liked that one point they did both of them did a running move to Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate when they were sat on the apron. I thought that was fun. Like crossbodies or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So, New Catch Republic, they granted Hank and Tank this friendly match. So, what's next for either team? Who knows? After that, we saw Izzy Dane pick up the victory over Brindley Reese. Izzy challenged Jordan Grace. I don't think it aired yet. I'm not sure if it airs this week or what, but she challenged Jordan Grace for the championship at the TNA tapings over the weekend. She obviously lost, but I think that's pretty cool. Tatum Paxley in this match showed up out of nowhere to distract Izzy Dame. And Dame continued to be dominant, even though they had that distraction. Tatum Paxley afterwards, though, the only word I could say to describe it, commentary said it as well, she slithered into the ring. And Izzy Dame jumped out really quick, and I thought that was a pretty cool thing to add, because you don't really see people slither, I guess.
Not too often.
So I thought that was pretty cool. But Brinley Reese later on was down on herself, and she told Idris Sanofi and Malik Blade, it's clearly not working. If you want to leave, that's fine. Do I think they're going to leave? I hope not.
I don't think so.
We saw Chase U, where Andre Chase spoke about the history of Toronto and the building that they're going to be wrestling in, and how DIY won the tag team championships in Toronto. The Street Profits retained the NXT championships in Toronto, and now they have the opportunity to win those NXT tag team titles also in Toronto. Johnny Gargano, by the way, puts out a post about saying how I think it's the Scotiabank Arena in Toronto may be quite possibly the most important building in his career. Barclays Center, brother? What, are you kidding me?
Come on now. I like the DIY stuff with the Randy Orton too.
Yeah, it's like the
sneak attacks.
But what would they call them? The Glorious Bombs. That's what they remind me of when they used to do that with Bobby Roode.
Yeah, exactly.
But Chase U, Duke Hudson ends up bringing up Ridge Holland cheating the other week, which is not something I thought we would see Duke bring up. And Ridge said that he just wanted to help, and Andre Chase asked him to stay back in the United States for Heatwave, so Ridge Holland will not be at Heatwave, maybe. I don't know if we'll see some sort of distraction there where, because I can't see Nathan Fraser and Axiom being champions much longer.
No,
with
me neither.
The way they're doing the backstage stuff, with the way that Nathan Fraser has a match against, or has that tag team match, and he's more so focused on his speed match against Xavier Woods, which he lost.
Mm-hmm. Great
match between the two of them. We saw Roxanne Perez and Lola Vice have a face-to-face in the ring. Roxanne, this was a somewhat of an awkward segment. And Roxanne Perez basically said this is in Bellator. She's going to make Lola Vice wrestle on Sunday. Lola Vice spoke about her childhood and her mom becoming a black belt and her becoming a black belt and then fighting at Madison Square Garden, and how she'll be able to call her mom after Heatwave and tell her that she won the championship, which Roxanne Perez said that's not happening. And then Lola Vice ended out taking out one of the security guards that Roxanne Perez had there for her. The acting in this was just not good.
Not the level that I would want it to be.
I don't know. You could tell Lola Vice was trying to cry and trying to get emotional, but it just
wasn't coming across as it.
Yeah, it was a very weird segment there.
Yeah.
After that,
next up you had Oro Mensah pick up the victory over Miles Bourne.
Did you say boring?
Bourne.
But did you say boring, or did
I?
No. No quarter catch crew also not with Damon Kemp, but Tavian Heights or Miles Bourne and Charlie Dempsey showed up at the TNA tapings as well, and they actually beat Kushida and the Rascals. I think that's pretty cool. But Damon Kemp tried to get Miles Bourne to use brass knuckles in this match. With that distraction, though, Oro Mensah was able to hit that heel kick and get that victory.
Picked up that win.
So that's strike 2 for Kemp, perhaps?
Picked up the win.
We saw Gallus brawl backstage with Igwe and DuPont. This was supposed to be a tag team match. But then this brawl happened, and they were unable to compete. We saw Wendy Chu pick up the victory over Carly Bright on Twitter. Wendy Chu called Carly Bright Kelly Kelly's daughter. And Kelly Kelly responded, so I popped for that. And she's like, oh, do I have to show up or something like that? I forget what Kelly Kelly said, but I'm like torn on this match because I see one side where I think this match could have been quicker, but because it wasn't a one-sided match, and I think Carly Bright also, like, because who is Carly Bright to us at this point?
Mm-hmm.
I think she needs more TV time. So I was like torn on whether or not it should be a quick thing, one and done, or what it was. So I'm happy in some sense that it wasn't a one-sided match.
But like on the other hand, you're trying to build up Wendy Chu as well.
But at the same time, you have to build up. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, she's fairly
and
new
she's
to the
only
roster,
out
too.
there because she's defending the honor of Kendall Gray. So
Mm-hmm.
after that, we had Shawn Michaels. Finally, they make mention of Brooks Jensen and what's been going on with him, and he said that after his split with Josh Briggs and Fallon Henley, he spiraled. And he was asked to stay away for some time. He believes in second chances, and he invited Jensen to NXT next week to talk with Ava. So we're finally getting mention of him, and we'll see what happens with that next week.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But next up, you had Jasmine Nix pick up the victory over Carmen Petrovich.
Which Fallon Henley watched backstage.
Yeah, Fallon Henley has a bone to pick, potentially.
We saw JC Jane, which I feel like maybe the three of them met up before the match. I don't remember. I feel like that happened. But JC Jane caused multiple distractions in this, and the second time, Jasmine Nix was able to hit that Pele kick on Carmen Petrovich to get that victory. And Petrovich told Ava that she wants to face JC Jane and Jasmine Nix, and it doesn't matter if she has to do it alone. And Ava's like, oh, your friend already spoke to me, and you'll face off on the kickoff show. And she's like, my friend, where's Natty? Natty got us a tag match. But it was Ariana Grace, based on an earlier conversation about both of them being from Toronto, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And Sol Ruka taking her spot against Kalani Jordan for the North American Championship, and how she wouldn't get a chance to wrestle in her hometown, etc. So there's still like we don't know if Natalia's still with WWE.
Yeah, not really much has been mentioned about it.
But I feel like it has to be a positive thing if she was mentioned multiple times on this show. She was mentioned in that Roxanne Perez segment also.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Hopefully she's still with WWE. I don't know.
Meh.
And then to end NXT, we had the fatal four-way contract signing between Ethan Page, Shawn Spears, Javon Evans, and the champion Trick Williams. I was surprised that there wasn't an authority figure out there. But the four of them, I liked them working off of each other here.
Mm-hmm.
Javon made fun of Shawn Spears for never being NXT champion. Shawn Spears and Ethan Page kind of tried to plant seeds of doubt in Trick's head about beating Javon, since both of them have already beaten him. And then we saw Ethan Page and Shawn Spears attack Trick Williams. They attacked Javon Evans. They both ended up going through the tables, I should say. Trick Williams, you see, like one of the last shots of NXT, he's staring at Ethan Page and Shawn Spears. Javon Evans looking at Trick Williams.
Not too good.
Very young, and this is his first main event on a PLE. So we'll see what happens with that. We're going to go over to predictions for NXT Heatwave that takes at NXT Heatwave taking place at the Scotia Bank Arena in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. The kickoff show we just spoke about, Carmen Petrovich and Ariana Grace taking on JC Jane and Jasmine Nix. I feel like it's going to be JC Jane and Jasmine Nix, and then we'll see like a misstep between Ariana Grace and Carmen Petrovich where that sets up a match on NXT next week.
I'm going to go with Petrovich and Grace.
For the NXT Tag Team Championships, Nathan Frazer and Axiom defending the titles against Chase U.
I'm going to go with Chase U.
I think it has to be Chase U.
Right?
With the way that everything's been going with Axiom, like I said before. I think it's got to be Andre Chase and Duke Hudson winning their second tag team titles.
Yeah.
For the NXT Women's North American Championship, we have Kalani Jordan defending the title against Sol Ruka. Kalani Jordan.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Kalani Jordan.
North American Championship, Obafemi defending the title against Wes Lee. If Obafemi wins, Wes Lee can never challenge for that title again as long as Obafemi is champion. I'm going to say Obafemi.
I'm agreeing with you. I'm going with Obafemi for sure.
NXT Women's Championship on the line. We have Roxanne Perez taking on Lola Vice. I'm going to say Roxanne Perez.
I'm going to go Lola Vice.
That wouldn't make sense to me at all.
Yeah.
NXT Championship on the line. Fatal 4-Way. Trick Williams defending the title against Javon Evans, Sean Spears, and Ethan Page. I'm saying Ethan Page. That might be out there, but I'm going to say Ethan Page.
I'll go with Trick Williams.
It is Toronto, hometown. Not necessarily an advantage per se, but
Yeah, going Williams.
Sean Spears also, by the way, from Ontario.
True, but
so that's Heat Wave. Moving over to SmackDown, it opened up with Jey Uso, crowd super hot. They sang his theme song, and he hyped up Money in the Bank. LA Knight showed up and spoke about how he was the favorite to win the Money in the Bank last year and how he's winning it this year. They got into a yeet yeah battle, which was funny. And then Carmelo Hayes showed up. He got interrupted by Chad Gable. Andrade showed up. Drew McIntyre showed up and ran everyone down. Almas ends up attacking Drew McIntyre, and then everyone got into a brawl. I like the yeah and the yeet punch off that they did. But it was just a standard thing to hype up Money in the Bank. After that, Bayley was interviewed backstage, and she spoke about the Money in the Bank match and cashing in since she was successful at both. Chelsea Green interrupted her and called her irrelevant and said that she wouldn't even be champion if it wasn't for her being ejected from ringside during that match that Bayley had with Piper Niven. And then Piper attacked Bayley, and Naomi checked on her later on, and Bayley said she asked Nick, or she spoke to Nick, and she got a match against Piper Niven. And later on, we saw Bayley pick up the victory over Piper Niven. Io watched ringside, and as the match went on, we saw more competitors from that Money in the Bank match show up to watch the match. Naomi and Chelsea Green got into it at one point, and that just started an all-out brawl between all the competitors. Bayley was distracted with all of that and almost lost the match, but she was able to come back. She hit the Rose Plant to pick up the victory. Nia Jax, the woman who won the Queen of the Ring, who will have a guaranteed title shot at SummerSlam, showed up afterwards, attacked Bayley, and then Mia Yim, who she's been having trouble with recently on SmackDown, made the save with the kendo stick. So it hypes up Money in the Bank. It hypes up SummerSlam. It continues Mia Yim and Nia Jax. So I thought that was well done. We saw the Street Profits pick up the victory over Pretty Deadly. It was a good tag team match, but I did not think Pretty Deadly was going to be winning this match. I do hope that they'll be featured more on television now that they're back. I did not... The superplex spot that Pretty Deadly did was cool, but it also kind of made Angelo Dawkins look dumb because he just stood there on the top rope watching it happen. So that's like the one part of that match that I didn't like. After that, we saw Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair pick up the victory over The Way. It was a pretty standard tag team match. They had some fun spots. I like that reverse powerbomb that Bianca Belair did to Candice LeRae onto Indy Hartwell. I guess was the alley-oop. I forget what it's called. I also like that even though they both hit their tag team, not their tag team finishers, they both, Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair, separately hit their finishers. Bianca didn't make a pin. She rolled Indy Hartwell out of the ring, and I feel like we've seen people do dual tag team moves before, or not tag team moves, dual finishers at the same time, and both of them go for their pin if they're on a team. So I liked the fact that that was not a thing. Kathy Kelly interviewed them afterwards, and they put Alba Fire and Isla Dawn on notice. We saw Cody Rhodes and RKO have a segment last week. All I really wanted from SmackDown at Madison Square Garden was for Cody to have that WWE Championship segment there. And that didn't really happen, on air at least, because off air, he actually had the real title that superstar Billy Graham held that Dusty Rhodes thought he won but didn't actually win. So I thought that was a really cool segment to watch on Twitter afterwards. But this week, they spoke about the Bloodline. They spoke about their fight at Money in the Bank. Kevin Owens spoke about how this whole week his mother was unfortunately rushed to the hospital and how he's been in Quebec the whole time. And he thought maybe he shouldn't be there, but then he knows that his mom would be pissed if he didn't go. Super fired up from Kevin Owens there, just putting the Bloodline on notice. And then in the main event of SmackDown, we saw DIY pick up the victory over A-Town Down Under to become the new tag team champions. I like the video package that they aired to hype up the tag team titles. Leading up to this, there have been seeds of doubt that have been planted in Austin Theory's head. But Grayson Waller built him up, said none of that's true. And then these two teams had a damn good tag team match. That pile driver spot from Johnny Gargano on the outside was dope. Grayson Waller accidentally clocked Austin Theory at one point. Big pop for DIY using the Shatter Machine. A little shout out to their opponents, the Revival from NXT TakeOver Toronto. They also ran back that double submission spot at the end, minus DIY, or not DIY, FTR stopping each other from tapping out. This was an exciting finish, great match. And I'm happy, this is their first tag team titles. This is their first main roster titles. So I think that's awesome. They had a Bloodline video afterwards where Solo Sikoa spoke about the Ula Fala and how it makes him the tribal chief. And he said it's not what he wanted, but it's what's needed. And he ran down Roman Reigns and said he's not man enough. He's not man enough to keep the title from Cody Rhodes. So Solo will be taking the title from Cody Rhodes. And if Roman Reigns wants the championship, he'll have to take it from Solo. I thought this was a good video. I don't think it really hypes up Money in the Bank, but it hypes up Roman Reigns' potential return. Who knows? But that's SmackDown. Gonna do some predictions for Money in the Bank right now. Same place as Heatwave, Scotiabank Arena, Toronto, Ontario, Canada.
Let's kick off with the Intercontinental Championship match. Sami Zayn taking on Braun Breaker. I'm going to go with Braun Breaker.
I'm going to say Braun Breaker as well. This is a hard match to call, though, with the way everything's been going. But I'm going to say Braun Breaker.
Mm-hmm.
Should we do Money in the Bank?
Yeah, go for it.
Money in the Bank ladder match for the Women's Championship. women's contract. We have Io Sky, Chelsea Green, Lyra Valkyria, Tiffany Stratton, Zoe Stark, and Naomi.
I'm going Chelsea Green.
I'm saying Lyra Valkyria.
Nice.
I would love to see Chelsea Green win it. Io Sky has a good story if she wins it, being back-to-back. Tiffany Stratton, I think, fantastic.
Stratton, everybody has a huge case.
I'm going to say Lyra Valkyria.
Let's go into the men's.
Yeah, because she was my pick for Queen of the Ring. So
there you go. Jey Uso, Carmelo Hayes, Andrade, Chad Gable, LA Knight, and Drew McIntyre.
Yeet.
Yeet. I'm going to go with...
No, don't yeet if you're not picking Jey Uso.
Sorry.
I thought you were picking McIntyre.
You know what? I don't know if McIntyre, though, because with everything that's taking...
I think AJ Lee could show up. I really think AJ Lee could show up.
I'm going I'd be so surprised. I'm going McIntyre because I feel like Jey Uso can play into the factor with the Wyatts if Chad Gable's in there. That can be a play. Or could it be LA Knight?
I don't know.
You know what? I'm switching to LA Knight.
I just feel like everything that's been going on with Logan Paul, what is he going to cash in on Logan Paul at SummerSlam or something?
I don't know.
And be one of the people that cashes in on the U.S. title?
I would just hold on to it, But
last chance match for the World Heavyweight Championship. If Damian Priest wins, then Seth Rollins will never challenge for that title for as long as Damian Priest is champion. Why would you book this match, the same stipulation on...
I know, the NXT. Weekend? I'm going Priest.
But if Seth Rollins wins, then Damian Priest has to leave Judgment Day. Keep in mind, the next event after... The next main card event after that is SummerSlam, where the winner will be going on to face Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship.
Huh.
I'm saying Seth freaking Rollins is walking out as champion.
No. That's true.
Seth Rollins versus Gunther, I think, is the SummerSlam match.
And what? Then Gunther wins?
Yeah. And then he goes into Bash in Berlin as champion.
Huh.
The end of August.
All right, you know what? I'll go with Seth Rollins. Damian Priest, if he loses, plays into the factor with Liv Morgan and stuff.
And of course, we could see Finn Balor or any member of Judgment Day get involved, and that's it. Then Damian Priest is out of Judgment Day.
Yeah,
they could show up and kick him out. We don't know.
That's true. I'm going Priest.
They've already kicked out a member.
True.
Do you remember who they kicked out or no?
I don't like to talk about that day.
Wait, do you remember? No.
Is it Truth?
It's Edge. I didn't mean R-Truth, but they kicked out R-Truth too.
Well, let's talk about the six-man tag team match and wrap it up. Cody Rhodes, Orton, and Owens taking on the Bloodline, Sikoa, Tonga, Loa, Fatu, any of the three. I'm going to go with the Bloodline.
I think it has to be the Bloodline, but also at the same time, I don't know how you're going to have Cody Rhodes on a losing team.
Hey, I would say put Bloodline over. Make them powerful.
I wonder like which one of the three it'll be, but I'm going to say the Bloodline. But that's Money in the Bank. Going to take a quick little break right now, and we'll be right back here on Markin Out.
Hey everybody, this is Lex Luger, the Total Package, and you are listening to Markin Out.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Markin Out, episode 700. Going to go back to AEW Rampage from last week that kicked off with Orange Cassidy picking up the victory over the Outrunners. I think this was a complete waste of time because the Outrunners are not Zack Sabre Jr., so I don't know how that prepares Orange Cassidy for Zack Sabre Jr. They don't equal one another. After that, Gabe Kidd and Roderick Strong picked up the victory over the Infantry. I don't think they did a good job at introducing Gabe Kidd to television, because if you didn't know who he was, you'd be so lost as to who he is or why he's just randomly with Undisputed Kingdom. And why would anyone care about this match? They had a very random win over House of Black in March, and then they lost over and over and over again. And you thought maybe the infantry would get more victories after that House of Black match. That didn't happen. This was just random. You saw El Phantasmo pick up the victory over AR Fox to qualify for the TNT ladder match at Forbidden Door. It was cool to see ELP. Very unexpected to see him added to the ladder match. It makes sense. It is Forbidden Door. I definitely didn't think AR Fox would be winning this, though. We saw Shingo pick up the victory over Dalton Castle. This is like the other matches. Dalton Castle is nowhere near the level as Bryan Danielson is. So why would people care about this match? And the fact that it went almost 10 minutes, I think makes Shingo look weak, especially going into a match against Bryan Danielson. And then the main event of Rampage saw Queen Aminata pick up the victory over Sky Blue. I think it was nice to have Sky Blue back on television. It was even nicer to have Queen Aminata. A victory even. Based on how she's been booked on AEW television, I would have said there's absolutely zero shot of her winning this match. She had a stack of losses on AEW television. She beat Anna Jay in February, and we never saw her again. She got the graphic on the internet, and then it was just Ring of Honor. They put her on ROH. That made zero sense whatsoever. She beat Sky Blue with the headbutt in this match, and then she helped Sky Blue up, and they hugged. And then Sky Blue beat the hell out of Queen Aminata until Red Velvet showed up after 2 months or so of not being on TV to make the save. AEW, they did this beatdown angle on Rampage. They're doing a beatdown angle on Dynamite, not to fast forward. I don't understand. Is there not somebody watching or looking at what they're putting out and being like, oh, here, this looks too similar? On AEW Collision, you saw Orange Cassidy and Ishii pick up the victory over TMDK. I don't think Orange Cassidy needed this match, or especially the match on Rampage, but he didn't need back-to-back matches here because it's Zack Sabre Jr. You could have just had a Zack Sabre Jr. match. He's the one that needs the victories on TV. And it's pretty crazy, speaking of victories, that this was Ishii's only second victory on AEW. His last victory was tagging with Orange Cassidy in 2021. We saw Stephanie Vicor pick up the victory over Lady Frost. I've been saying for weeks, Stephanie Vicor needed to wrestle on Dynamite way before this pay-per-view. So I'm glad that she at least had this match on Collision. We saw Mercedes watching from ringside. Lady Frost, I think every single time she wrestles, I think she always outshines her opponents. And I thought this match was fine. I don't think it did anything to really make it look like Stephanie Vicor had a shot against Mercedes. And I think they should have done Stephanie Vicor versus Deonna Purrazzo a few weeks ago. Had Thunder Rosa on the commentary, then go into their match together that they had, that hardcore match or whatever it was. But that didn't happen. Zuxi showed up and attacked Mercedes afterwards. Mercedes had a comeback, and then Stephanie Vicor put Mercedes Moné down. To end that segment, we saw Serena Deeb pick up the victory over Kelly Madden. Serena Deeb should be past these matches. She lost the Owen Hart qualifier. Who cares if she beats some random person who's only had AEW Dark matches? And then she called for a challenger that is on her level. And then Riho appeared, who has not been there for months. We saw Hechicero pick up the victory over Kevin Blackwood. Obviously just to get a victory over a random talent to make Hechicero look strong going up against MJF. Kevin Blackwood's not MJF, though. We saw Daniel Garcia pick up the victory over the Butcher. I liked the Butcher wearing Dean Malenko trunks. And then I thought it was weird to see them celebrate afterwards. It was the Battle of Buffalo. Both of them from Buffalo. We saw Hikaru Shida pick up the victory over Deonna Purrazzo to advance in the Owen Hart tournament. I wish both of them were able to advance. I also wish this wasn't like 5 months since we've seen Hikaru Shida. But Deonna Purrazzo referred to Hikaru Shida as a part-timer. Kind of hard to argue with something like that when it's been 5 months. But the knee from Hikaru Shida at the end of the match kind of looked weak. I didn't think that was going to be the finish. But Deonna Purrazzo beat Hikaru Shida down afterwards. She picked up the kendo stick and just stood there waiting for Thunder Rosa's music to hit. And then she dipped. So they're continuing that. We saw ELP, Jack Perry, and Takeshita pick up the victory over Dante Martin, Leo Rush, and Mark Briscoe. The ending of this match with Jack Perry, Dante Martin, and Takeshita I thought was bad. The aftermath of this, where they all brawled, I think makes sense. But it just looked very choreographed. And then you ended Collision with that main event weigh-in, and I literally just swerve. I couldn't care less about this. You had Forbidden Door, which I did not watch. Kyle Fletcher picked up the victory over Serpentico on the buy-in. House of Black beat Ishii, Kyle O'Reilly, Roderick Strong, and Gabe Kidd. And Private Party, we saw Willow Nightingale and Tam Nakano pick up the victory over Chris Statlander and Momo Watanabe. Mariah May picked up the victory over Saraya to advance in the Owen Hart tournament. The Lucha Bros and Mystico picked up the victory over LIJ. The actual main card, you saw MJF pick up the victory over Hechicero. The Elite picked up the victory over the Acclaimed and Tanahashi. Bryan Danielson beat Shingo to advance in the Owen Hart tournament. Tony Storm successfully retained the championship against Mina Shirakawa. Zack Sabre Jr. beat Orange Cassidy. Samoa Joe, Hook, and Shibata picked up the victory of the Learning Tree, and Jeff Cobb last week super confused as to what the actual match was going to be because Minoru Suzuki was laid out that challenge. Nowhere to be found on this event. You saw Jack Perry pick up the victory over Takeshita, Mark Briscoe, Dante Martin, Leo Rush, and ELP in that ladder match to become the new TNT champion. Mercedes Moné picked up the victory over Stephanie Vicor to become the new New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Women's Champion. Britt Baker returned after this. And then you saw Naito pick up the victory over Moxley to become the new IWGP champion. Main event saw Swerve retain the championship against Will Ospreay. I think this match, a lot of people say match of the year. It seemed like you either really loved this whole event or you were bored by most of it and you loved the main event. You loved Mercedes Moné versus Stephanie Vicor. I don't know. I didn't see it. AEW Dynamite kicked off with Bryan Danielson picking up the victory over Pac to advance in the Owen Hart tournament. The fans were going nuts for this match. They were split. I thought it was a good match. There were some weird slow points for me, but overall I enjoyed it. No way Bryan wasn't moving on, though. And with the way Swerve's title reign has been, I would really welcome Bryan Danielson to win the title at Wembley. Mark Briscoe came out. He put over Shark Week. He tied it to Blood and Guts, which they set up a month ago with the Acclaimed and Swerve. They were nowhere to be found at first. I mean, Swerve was nowhere to be found at all on this episode of Dynamite, which is ridiculous. But Jack Perry clocks Mark Briscoe at the TNT Championship. Kyle O'Reilly makes a save. Okada takes him out. The Bucks show up. The Acclaimed chase them off. It seems like they've edited Blood and Guts, but I'm not 100% sure. How do you follow up a pay-per-view without having your champion on the show? But Willow Nightingale picked up the victory over Chris Statlander to advance in the Owen Hart tournament. They brawled before the match. Willow pounced the hell out of Chris Statlander down the ramp. I thought that was great. She controlled most of the match. But we saw Stokely leave a chain in the corner for Chris Statlander. He distracted the referee. I thought the ending of this was terrible, but I enjoyed the overall match. I hated that ending. We saw Britt Baker come out, and she spoke about where she's been. She had 2 herniated discs, an injured hip labrum, and also what they call a mini stroke. I forget what the actual term was. So thankfully she's okay, and thankfully she's cleared now. But she thanked the fans for being there for her on Sunday. Kind of cut a heelish promo on Mercedes. Even though she's a face, Mercedes is, I mean, up until Sunday she was booed. Kind of been a face. But after Britt Baker was done, it just so happened that Mercedes pulls up. The guy driving the car is beeping the horn. Why are you beeping the horn? And the Elite greet Mercedes Moné, have the crew set up for Mercedes Championship celebration, which was very, very WCW of them, while Britt Baker was in the ring. And Mercedes has the championship celebration. You have some balloons on the floor. You got balloons on the turnbuckles, the ring posts. Fans booed her. And Britt Baker said all in. Mercedes told her to get to the back of the line, and she's like, what line? I don't think this was a super strong segment, but it gets what needed to be done. It seems like Mercedes versus Britt Baker will be that match at All In. You had Chris Jericho, as per the Elite, kick Taz out of the arena for the rest of the night. So he sat on commentary. You had Samoa Joe, Hook, and Shibata pick up the victory over the Cage of Agony. This was one of those matches I just couldn't care less about. The Learning Tree attacked Team Joe after the match. I expected Minoru Suzuki again, but nothing. We don't know when that match is going to be. And then later on, they attacked Hook backstage. Jericho threw a fireball at him. I don't know if that takes Hook off television or what. We saw Hangman Adam Page return. He was the wild card to pick up the victory over Jeff Jarrett to advance in the Owen Hart tournament. Given that they aired a video for him the other night, I figured there was no way that he would be the wild card, because it would be so stupid. Why air a video of him that sets up his return when the wild card is supposed to be a surprise? And then he turns out to be the wild card. I hated that. I like that they made this match look like Jeff Jarrett had a shot at moving on. But at the same time, there's no way in hell. It seems like Bryan Danielson Hangman finals. We saw the Bucks ask Adam Page to be on their Blood and Guts team. And he was very mean about it and said no. But I feel like that's going to change. It has to. He's focused on the Owen Hart tournament. He has to win the Owen Hart tournament. I will be shocked if Adam Page is not part of that team. Who else would it be? After that, Will Ospreay in the main event picked up the victory over Daniel Garcia to retain the International Championship. MJF was in Garcia's corner, which really didn't make sense to me. Will Ospreay, we saw break up with Don Callis earlier in the night. I don't want to say this was a boring match to me, but it was just not something I was invested in. I don't care for the antics from Daniel Garcia. I didn't like Garcia kicking out of the Styles Clash. And we see MJF be MJF in this match. He gives Daniel Garcia his ring to use, which is just a distraction for Daniel Garcia. And Garcia gets shut down. After the match, he sits in the corner crying. Will Ospreay gives him a pep talk. MJF takes all the blame for the loss, and then I feel like all of that's on Daniel Garcia for trusting MJF. After everything you've seen MJF do, how could you even remotely trust MJF? And MJF kicks Garcia below the belt. He clocked Matt Menard with the ring. He clocked Daniel Garcia with the ring. And since MJF's return, it's just been the weirdest booking of him. And then they before this even happened, they pre-announced that MJF is going to be opening up Collision. Why say that if all of this big stuff that took place after the show didn't happen yet? What would MJF open Collision to talk about? Now he has something to talk about. So none of that made sense. I think the first half of this episode of Dynamite was pretty spot on, pretty good. And then it just went downhill. So that's unfortunate. That's AEW Dynamite. Hey, Chris, got a match of the week?
Chris's match of the week.
Chris's match of the week.
Yes, I'm feeling nostalgic this week, and seeing Money in the Bank is on Saturday. Let's make the match of the week the first Money in the Bank ladder match from WrestleMania. Yeah, what a fantastic concept Chris Jericho came up with, and he's still here and still doing it. And also, my favorite wrestler of all time, Edge, won the inaugural match. So go watch that on the internet. By the way, the prophecy that I said last year on this podcast, my last time on the show, is probably going to come true with Money in the Bank. Chelsea Green will win Money in the Bank. I could care less who wins the men's. And it's so funny because, again, going back to the 700 episode gimmick here, episode number 1, were we really so invested in women's wrestling? No, a lot of people were like, oh, that's my pee break when I go to a show. Now,
It's true.
I'm more invested in the women's Money in the Bank match this year than I am the men's Money in the Bank match, because somebody who had, again, going back to the IWC, somebody that is extremely well liked within the smart wrestling community is going to get her opportunity to shine. And I'm so stoked for her. Chelsea is the best. The few interactions in life that I've had with her, she has been nothing but a stand-up human being. And it's going to be awesome. And I also love the fact that Matt tweeted out his schedule for the month and tweeted out he's going to be at Money in the Bank and wrote an asterisk and to watch my hot wife, Chelsea Green, win Money in the Bank. And I can't wait to see Matt on the Indies holding the women's Money in the Bank briefcase. It's going to be
Well
great.
deserved.
So, yeah, go watch the first Money in the Bank ladder match. Fantastic. Anyway, Brandon, who are you shouting out?
Hey, wow, this is Owen Wilson. You're listening to Brandon's Shoutouts.
The first shout out goes to The Bear. The 3rd season is now out on Hulu. I think it's a fantastic show. I know Dave does not watch. Chris, I feel like...
I'm late 2nd season, but then life got involved. I love Matty Matheson.
Mm-hmm.
And I said that the last time I was on the show. He is all into metal and hardcore. Episode 1, he wore a Harm's Way shirt, which I said on the show too. I think his YouTube channel is outstanding. I think the way it's just very beautifully shot. The editing is right up my alley. And he's just a very great personality. I've heard very mixed reviews about this season, and I'm looking forward to watching it at some point.
I do wish this season was longer than 10 episodes. And it is... I saw somebody pose the question, why would they release every episode all at once instead of doing it week by week? It's a very, very, slow season.
Okay.
But like I said, I wish it was longer than 10 episodes. And back to Maddie, I like when he's doing press for the show, he's like, they asked me to be on the show, and I said the only way I would be on is if I wasn't cooking. So I like that he's not cooking, and he's still doing everything that he's doing. So, and I think they knock it out of the park with this show. So,
okay, awesome, cool.
If you're not watching The Bear by now, I don't know what you're doing.
I have to watch that WrestleMania behind the curtain thing that came out today, right?
Yeah, I have to watch.
Or the
that
Rock,
as well.
the Rock postponed it again.
No, that's out.
Okay, maybe after this I'll have a toast with some Terramana, and I gotta take a shower. I stink. But anyway,
That sounds
continue.
like a good idea.
Him taking a shower?
What about a Terramana shower? I'll drink tequila in the shower.
There you go.
Boom. There we go. All right, Brandon, sorry.
Tequila really makes his clothing come off.
Oh my god.
Yeah, like a fish song, like my Mexican cousin, something like that.
My second shout out's going to Inside Out 2. Very appropriate previous talk to go into that, but it's obviously the sequel to the 2015 film, the Pixar film. New emotions show up and take over the character, and the old emotions have to deal with that. This movie already made insanely crazy money at the box office. I think it's the highest grossing film of 2024 so far, and I did not expect that movie to do as well as it did. I probably thought the same thing with Incredibles 2, and that movie I think smashed box office as well. And both are good movies. And I was going to wait for this movie to come to Disney Plus, but I had a free movie ticket that I had to use, and there really just haven't been any other movies out that I wanted to see. So I saw this movie. I enjoyed it. I like seeing all the Easter eggs. Obviously, you got to try to find the Pizza Planet truck, and a whole bunch of other things. So check out Inside Out 2. It's already been like a month, so.
My wife and my daughter saw it, and they both loved it. And you didn't even mention that independent wrestling standout Paul Walter Hauser is a voice in there.
He plays embarrassment.
I was going to make that my match of the week, him versus Danhausen from Pro Wrestling Revolver. I got another great independent wrestling promotion, like the way it's done, and like it has a certain vibe to it. That wasn't around 700 episodes ago.
Yeah. My final shout out goes to Martin Mull, who unfortunately passed away last week at the age of 80. He started his career as a musical comedian, which I feel like many people wouldn't know that because he's so famous as an actor. And he was in movies like Mr. Mom. He was in Clue. But I would say he's probably most famous for his roles on Roseanne, and probably even more so for this generation, Sabrina the Teenage Witch. But I also think he had memorable roles in Arrested Development and Veep. So go look up Martin Mull. Check out any of the shows that he's been on and watch that this weekend. So those are my shout outs. Now it's time for
Mark Out Moment of the Week.
That is right, our Mark Out Moment of the Week. I have a Mark Out Moment of the Week from The Bear. I don't know if you would classify it as a spoiler or not. Now I don't know if I with you being on and you're invested in the show.
Yes, I am.
Do I say it?
No, don't please.
Don't say it.
And then, when I watch it in 6 months, I'll text you. Like, oh my God, I finally got it.
But like, it's like a Mark Out moment on like two different levels.
Let me watch.
Not anymore. It is.
I want people to understand that. Like, if you saw it, then you obviously know what the main level of Mark Out moment is. But if
should I go pour myself that Terramana now, and you can talk about it?
I mean, you can. It'll be like a 2-second word blurb.
That's not. I'm gonna need it longer than that. So yeah, don't say it, please.
Just
Thanks.
cover your ears.
Take my earbuds out. All right, fine. I'll do that. My earbuds.
What
are
if
out.
I watch it?
You don't watch it. John Cena was on this episode of on one of the episodes of The Bear, but also there's a Ready to Rumble reunion because Oliver Platt is a main character on the show, or a reoccurring character on the show. So, and John Cena was a little tiny background role in that movie, Ready to Rumble. So, pop for that. How do we know when to?
Put my earbuds in?
Yes, I was gonna say, how do we know when to get Chris back in?
Yeah, I know. I heard the word background. I was like, oh, what? Okay.
So, I have other Mark Out moments. You guys have Mark Out moments?
Did you see Super 7 dropped a line of Remco-inspired Misfits toys?
I did. That has to clearly, if you're into that style of figures and you're into pro wrestling, you have to get that for your WCW collection.
I know. And then because, Danzig's Danzig, he has his own standalone figures out from the Misfits. Yeah, my air conditioner just turned off.
Yeah, no, I think that figure, I love how it looks just like an cartoon.
It's very cartoony, I know.
It looks incredible.
That's one band I have to see the Misfits. I have a Misfits tattoo, and I haven't seen that. Actually, I have seen the Misfits, and Dave was there too.
Yes,
at the downtown. I worked that show. Yeah, it was the 1950 project when it was like one of the Ramones and Jerry Only, and it was a fun show. I always forget that I saw them. I worked a Misfit show.
I really wish that we had a video recording of that show because of me doing the stage dive.
I know. And it was funny. There's a lot of people now that are starting to put archived footage up. So I've seen videos. I saw a video one time from a show at the downtown where I got on the stage and was grabbed a microphone and then I started head walking over people. It was awesome.
Oh man.
Oh, I missed the downtown.
Where was that located?
Do you think there's any way that we can get that video?
Let me see. Well, we can probably just go on YouTube.
Where was the downtown?
In Farmingdale. You know what Croxley's is?
No.
Yeah, it's where it's where Croxley's was. Let's see.
What I would do? I would totally pay just to get a video clip of me doing that stage dive.
And you were in your mid-50s when you did that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was back in what? 19.
Okay, no, that's
54.
Ooh, there's an Antarapi full set. I was at that one. Every Time I Die's full set. I think I was at Tet. No, I wasn't at that one. Sleeping. Norma Jean played there too. Wow. A Love for Enemies. Man, all these hardcore shows. No.
Yeah, they had so many great bands there.
I know. That was a great internship. Just saw hardcore bands and.
I wish I took advantage of it and went to more.
Yeah. Visually Hidden. The Gotham event.
So, more mark-out moments?
I can't think of anything right now.
The Creeds were announced for Josh Barnett's Bloodsport 11.
Yeah, okay, I did see that.
Brooklyn, July 28th. Shayna Baszler was previously announced for that show too, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Here's another thing. Let's go back to the 700 gimmick here. 700 episodes ago, you would never see a contracted WWE talent on an independent wrestling show.
It's true.
Or WWE working with TNA, or Joe Hendry. But still, that's stuff we can mark out about.
We did have little sprinkles of it here and there, but it wasn't like this
long of an active relationship together.
And also when we did have the little sprinkles for was 2015 or 16, maybe 2018, probably more likely when they did the Evolve thing. But that was more so because WWE, I guess, absorbed Evolve at that point.
Yeah, again, Gabe Sapolsky was working. Was that 2004, Dave?
Oh, I can't even tell you.
I think it was because I found the Saturday, November 13th, 2004.
Oh, geez, fingers crossed.
Maybe, I don't know, because I just found the poster for the show online for $100. No way.
Oh, but not the video.
No, Gone for Back. Yeah, no, I don't see it. Wow.
Well, I had another mark-out moment was the David Letterman YouTube account uploaded a clip of Dick the Bruiser on the show from July 2nd, 1980.
Mm-hmm.
And I really, truly do not think a heel could get away with saying what he says on this show in this day and age, because he goes on and he's talking to me. He's like, I don't think women should be in pro wrestling.
Oh my God.
I don't think that can be said. People are like, oh, what about, can MJF say it? I'm like, I don't think even MJF can say that, because it's so it's so built into reality where it would just make AEW look bad if he said that.
Brandon, you love AEW to look bad.
No, I wouldn't want a company to look bad like that, though. They do plenty of stuff on their own to do that. But I just think it's interesting to see stuff like that from the 80s. And I think it's cool when you see, because you don't expect to be on YouTube and see a random clip from David Letterman pop up and have Dick the Bruiser on. Mm-hmm. So I think that's pretty cool. But you got any other mark-out moments? Probably not. You already said no.
No.
I don't think so. I mean, I kind of marked out for Britt Baker coming back.
Oh, yeah.
I'll
agree. I marked out for Britt Baker. Marked out for the Wyatt family. Well,
those, honestly, those have been unbelievable.
Yeah.
The Uncle Howdy sit-downs. But, yeah. I mean, they're not calling her Britt Baker anymore. They're calling her Rip Baker. Just came back with more abs than I think I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, she's shredded now.
Yeah. Thank you, DDP.
Yeah. DDP. I'm going to say I did mark out the other week, and I never got a chance to say it because I forgot. But it was the matchup, I believe. It was Santos Escobar versus Waller, Grayson Waller on SmackDown. And Waller did his finisher from the outside of the ring. He did his running, jump through the ropes to go for his finish. And then Escobar caught him mid-air and landed his signature DDT.
Yeah.
And then the transition of Waller doing that into the ring and then him just catching him, locking it, and hitting it, I totally marked out for that. I was actually watching it while I was on the treadmill, and I let out a huge, like holy crap, audible. So nice. I definitely marked out for that.
Nice. Yeah, I think that's it.
Hey, Chris, you want to take it home?
700.
It's episode 700. Yep, episode 700. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you for all the support all these years. And here's 700 more. So until that 1,400th episode, you can go to facebook.com/markinout, twitter.com/markinout, TikTok @markinout, YouTube and Instagram at markinout11. Email us markinout1@gmail.com. You can buy merchandise, prowrestlingtees.com/markinout. Email us, markinout1@gmail.com. You can follow me on Twitter at Chris Sweendog. You can follow Dave on social media platforms at DavidPTDPT, and Brandon on all social media platforms at BTTG161. And until the next 700th episode, we wish you the
best of luck in your future endeavors.
Have a fantastic week.
All right.